championship the car had ever contested. These beginnings would start a season that would see the car go down in racing legend and eventually arrive here on the iRacing service. So in homage, today we'll see it take to that very Dutch circuit as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Zandvoort doesn't quite look like it did back in '67, so why don't we head to our track guide to find out a little bit more about it. Welcome to Zandvoort. This track just to the west of Amsterdam fell into obscurity, but is getting new life in recent times thanks to a resurgence of Formula One fans in the country. Back in the mid-20th century, it hosted the Formula One Dutch Grand Prix for nearly 30 years. Granted, it was on a much faster and more flowing layout. Nowadays, the 5 different versions which are available to be run are mostly tight and technical. The shortest one is a little under a mile, while even the longest only stretches to a little over 2.5 miles. These tiny lengths, plus the narrowness of the track and its lack of long straights, make passing almost maddeningly difficult. The 2 most common spots are Tarzan, which is the first corner, and Hans Ernst, which is the final chicane. Even though it has recently been updated in the real world with more banking, even on the old track here on iRacing, it has an unusual amount of camber for a road course. The 2 aforementioned turns, along with Hugenholtz and Schieflock, allow drivers to carry more speed than you'd expect. It also gives drivers a chance to take slightly unusual lines. Like most old-school tracks, runoff is minimal. Mistakes in a few of the faster turns tend to allow no time for recovery and a big repair bill. Another unique quality is the fact that Zandvoort is literally next to the beach on the North Sea. Therefore, the sand easily blows its way onto the track surface and lessens grip. It's a tricky place to race, and even trickier circuit to win at. But with the beautiful surroundings, great history, and a mob of enthusiastic fans donning orange, you can't help but want to go visit this fantastic venue. Well, Christian, as someone who did race on the old Grand Prix Legends game from Papyrus, I'm a bit sad that they can't run the actual course that the 49 did. So what's it going to be like trying to navigate this twisty track in this old school car?
Well, it might not be the old circuit, but it is still a very, very challenging circuit. 13 turns, obviously, a lot of high-speed corners, which are very, very tricky in the Lotus 49 at the best of times, and a lot of corners that lead into one another. So if you get a little bit offline and you kind of don't prepare properly for the next one, it's going to make it really, really difficult. And then you've got some really, really slow speed corners as well in Hanshurst and Tarzan. So, it's a really difficult track in the 49, and it's a pretty long track as well at 4.3 kilometers.
Yeah, expect the laps to take a little bit since these things do take some wheeling around those slower corners. But you can see in the F1 Championship, Shedlick's win last time out has extended his lead over Ove Trangrade. But watch out for Gronkowski, who has gotten 3 second places in 3 races that he has showed up for, and he is here today. Sanchez and Bill Tyler in 3rd and 4th as well, involved here at the top 5. What about the F2 Championship, Christian?
Well, Jorge Neves still is kind of riding that massive points finish he had early in the season. He's 36 ahead of Matthew Maudsley in 2nd. Manuel Perez, he's 10 points further back in 3rd, with Matt Wright 54 points off the lead. And Andrew Eng, he's only 3 points back, so pretty tight battle there for both 2nd and 4th place.
As for the Nations Cup, the United States naturally is starting to pull away slightly from the UK, with Gronkowski for the UK and Shedlick for the US. And Spain, Norway, and Singapore rounding out your top 5. Spain and Norway in a close little fight there between 3rd and 4th position. What about today's race details?
Well, round 5 of 12, and just a little bit of a long track here, so 21 laps today. Open setup as always in the 49, and no spare car, but also the first split race we've seen in a long time, so a little bit smaller of a grid in the broadcast split, but, very, very high quality field.
Absolutely. It's pretty decent strength of field here today with, I'm seeing at least 2 drivers above 5K, one very close to Rado is back. Rafael hasn't really showed up a whole lot in recent seasons and has seemed to be reappearing more and more. And Matthias Hovdal back once again. Glad to see him coming over from the Lotus, or not the Lotus, the Camel GT series, one of the other vintage racing series here on iRacing. Down into the first corner, you can see the temperature is pretty decent. as this is Olsen that we're watching coming through Tarzan and up to Gerlach. And 89 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself. Just a little bit of wind at 9 miles per hour, but 32 Celsius for those over on metrics. So
not a super hot track surface, which will probably help these guys out a little bit here.
Absolutely. And you can see just how winding this track is. So he takes it into Sheevlock, and this is where it'll start to deviate from the old course that these cars actually ran. We head through Masters, and now it's just a bunch of slow corners, back and forth hairpins here. And then he'll be able to unleash it for just a little bit. John coming up to the left-hander for the back stretch. And you can see just taking it right up onto the curb, using as much of the track as he can up into what you mentioned before, what I think is one of the trickier corners on this track here, Hans Ernst.
Yeah, it really is, because you have to nail that right side apex there, and if you don't, you end up very, very far off to the left, and you make yourself vulnerable on this little run that you have down here to Kumo.
So as Olsen comes out of there, let's see, don't have anybody that's set a time yet. He's got a couple others that are in front of him, definitely not flat out in this flat version without the banking that you see that they've recently added, with F1 coming here once again in modern times, and a 139.3 is going to put Olsen on the front row, at least temporarily. We'll see if he stays there. Hovdal, currently the fastest overall. Shedlick, who has been frighteningly quick in the first 4 rounds, is just coming around now out of Lyondike. Ooh, and Dorado goes faster than Hovdal. Tixier goes up to 3rd, so quickly switching around with some of those we typically see at the sharp end of the fields, and Shedlick a 38.3. Ooh, is just off the pole there, Christian.
Yeah, Dorado with a really, really nice time. We've not seen him for a couple of races, but when I saw that he was almost 6 tenths ahead, I thought it was going to be a bit difficult for Shedlick to challenge that, but we have seen drivers go quicker on the second lap in recent weeks, so we'll have to see if he can challenge him.
Watching to see if we have any other big players coming across the line. Marco Salgado, one of our F2 drivers, 39.8 in 13th as we're looking at Laust Olsen. And Togo Hisada. Wow, Togo's back, and he is about 300ths faster than Rafael Dorado. It's going to be a serious fight for the pole today.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've got to see what Shedlick does on his second lap. And, drivers such as Tixier, they're very, very good in qualifying as well, and he's 9 tenths off, but we have seen him improve on his second lap in numerous amount of times in the past, so I think he's going to get closer. And Gronkowski, he slots himself up in a 5th, but he's nearly 7 tenths off.
That's a bit surprising. Wonder if he had a little error or something along the way on his lap. He's got one more to go, and Hovdal's back up into 3rd with his second lap. I think Dorado's just about to finish his out, so second on the track and not far away from the pole. What's his improvement? If that, 38 flat, that is going to be pole once again for Rafael Dorado.
And our F2 points leader, Hyoya Niva, he's set a pretty blistering time once again. He's now in 5th with a 38.7.
Shedlick, and Shedlick goes to pole now by a 1/10.5 over Dorado. It is constantly in flux, but Togo Hisada is coming out of Lyondike. And let's see, does look like it's a much faster time. He's got to make up 3/10 to get the pole. Will it be that quick? 37.8. And yes, it will, by less than a 1/10 over Shedlick.
A very tight fight for the top 3.
Wonder if Gronkowski can improve here. He's been sent down to 9th, but we're going to look at Jorge Nieva, who's doing fantastic lately. It looks like he has finished his 2 laps, though, so 38.7 will keep him in 7th place at best. Back to Jordan Gronkowski, all the way down in 9th. What happened on that first lap, and can he find something in it as the UKNI driver crosses the line? No, he has his lap deleted. He had an off track somewhere. So that is it for him. He's got some work to do today if he even wants another second place like he's been consistently rifling off. And I think that might be it. No, Cam Porter is still setting his second time, and I think he's going to be the last one to be able to do so.
Yeah, it is a shame that that second lap didn't count for Gronkowski there, because it would have been a 38.2, and that would have slotted him up into 4th spot.
So Cam Porter very focused right now, and oh, did he just miss it? No, he got it in. It was a 40.9, but it looks like it didn't improve his position. As we go through the field, it is Togo Hisada on the pole position and Jim Shedlick next to him. Rafael Dorado starts from 3rd, and Xavier Sanchez is P4. Matthias Havdal starts from 5th, and Sebastian Tixier 6th with Jorge Nieva. Great qualifying in 7th. John Olsen starts from 8th, and Jordan Gronkowski mysteriously down in 9th. Benjamin Zoko returns with a top 10.
At last, Olsen lines up in 11th, first driver in the 139s, with Gary Quaylen alongside him in 12th. Matthew Maudsley, another F2 contender, he's there in 13th with Antti Kärinen alongside him in 14th. Richard Yalland, a little bit lower in qualifying this week than we've seen recently, back here in 15th, with Jacob Desmarais, who I believe is actually GP Laps. I did not realize this last week when I saw him here. So he's back there in 16th with Miro Hrazki and Matt Wright in 17th and 18th. Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado and Robert Plumley line up at the back of the top 20.
Will Lamb starts 21st and Yuri Giesen in 22nd. Then it's Michael Grissinger, P23. Cam Porter will start from 24th, as we mentioned, and Herbert Prinz, the last of our 25, at the back of the field. Again, top split today compared to, I'm trying to think the last time, I think it may have been a year or more ago since we've seen a split on the broadcast races. We're waiting for our pole sitter to put himself out there. Togo Hisada, our champion from the previous season, has not been able to defend that crown since he's had university to deal with lately. And everybody's now out on the grid. The engines start to rev. It's round 5 of the Grand Prix Legends Series. And the green flag is out. It looks like Quesada's not got a great start. Shedlick is starting to come alongside him, seeing if he could take that lead away, and that could be critical at a track like this where passing is so difficult. Track position goes to Jim Shedlick through the first corner. He's got the lead.
Yeah, really good start by Shedlick there, and we've seen this actually in the past couple of weeks. He makes really good starts and great first laps.
So can he make use of that clear air now that he's got it? So far, so good through the rest of the field as they come into Hugenholt. So we got a little bit of a stack up at the back, little bit of contact, but nobody has spun. Somebody's off track. They must have gotten damaged. Looks like Salgado, unfortunately, getting some suspension injuries there as we continue on now into Shevlock.
And everybody single file in his first lap. A couple of drivers just grabbing the grass right there before Master.
Yeah, trying to open up that entry as much as they can, and you can see how much they're willing to take it to the inside, as this is Robert Plumley a little farther back into 19th. So far, I like what I see in this. This could have been a lot more of a mess in such a twisty track and open wheel cars. And off of the corner, just slides it all the way out, quite a bit more than what Jacob did in the 18 in front of him, and he's taking a look down to the inside, but he's not quite close enough.
Yeah, that's going to compromise him a little bit here. He's going to be a little bit offline, but I don't think he's under threat from anybody behind right now.
Not quite. Meanwhile, back up at the front, Hisada's relatively close to Shedlick. Now the downside is this is not that long of a front stretch, so I'm not sure that he's going to get much of a slipstream here. And indeed, he doesn't gain enough that he can try and send one into Tarzan. Interestingly, they still have Dorado there. It's a little wide off the corner from Shedlick. Ooh, Hisada fancies a chance. Nope, he comes back to the racing line.
Just a little bit behind that. Havdal was having the battle. It didn't look like he was able to pull the pass off into Tarzan, though.
No, he's stuck behind Gronkowski. Wow, great start for Jordan from 9th to 6th in the first lap. So he's making good on race pace, even though he wasn't quite that good in qualifying. But he's a long ways away from second still, as the top 3 are actually starting to pull away. You can see them there on screen, distancing themselves as they come into the infield section, and Hisada looks pretty good on the brakes today.
Yeah, and this section here that kind of starts with the pretty tight right, and then leads into these 2 consecutive hairpins. It really has a lot of different lines. You can see here from the overhead cam, Gronkowski to the inside. And I think that's Sanchez that's now on the outside, but Sanchez will have a run down into Hans Ernst.
Well, not as good a one as Gronkowski. Wow, finds the grip somehow. And that's up to 5th already. So yeah, there must have been something wrong in that qualifying that put him back there in ninth that we didn't quite catch in time. Sanchez running the number 2 today with a lot of iRating, but not as much speed as some of these guys.
He's still in the top 5, or he was until this lap.
Yeah, it is in top split. So he is running quite well. But we're used to seeing him vie for wins here, and Shedlick is going to set the fastest lap of the race that time, still under threat. And we kind of expected something like this, just seeing these trains form. You see those top 3 up at the front, and then back here, we're watching another one start to come together with Gronkowski ahead of Sanchez, leading Hovdal, Olsen, Nieva, Yalin, Zoko. It goes a long ways back.
Yeah, that's what's going to make it difficult for someone like Gronkowski to really get up and challenge for the lead here, because with it being such a single file track, he's already 3.5 seconds off the lead, and we're only on lap 3.
Here's one of our onboards, Cam Porter here in the 20. He's chasing Will Lamb and Jacob Desmarais. And another streamer joining us here in the 49s. Here is Cam Porter's view, watching up ahead. Got a first-hand look at a battle potentially. Will trying to see if he can get an opening on Jacob. He's mighty close, but Jacob's going to shut the door for now.
It does look like that you can make a couple of passes in these consecutive hairpins if you're confident with the car under braking.
And it seems some are, some aren't. Coming down into an even heavier braking zone. Down into Hans Ernst. Jacob still rebuffing Will Lamb for the time being. Just can't seem to find any sort of gap. Oh, Hisada's much closer. We got to go to the lead. Shedlick is going to be under threat. And Togo is to the inside. Here we go. He's got the overlap. He's just got to get the job done. It's a banked corner. Not always easy to try and finish the job, but he's got it, and Shedlick is through.
Really nice pass, and right behind that, Dorado nearly got in the back of Shedlick.
And it's Hisada who's through, pardon me, and we're going to take one more look at that and see exactly how he did this. Just straight up out-braked him, took that inside, and Shedlick could not hold the grip on the outside line.
Yeah, and that's not really a trivial pass at all, especially with Tarzan, because of being a banked corner, it actually gives a little bit of a advantage to the outside line. They can defend just a little better than they would in, say, a flat corner.
See if he can hold on from here, though, as we come back live, and Shedlick still within about 0.3 of a second, so I don't think this one is over, and you can see that Honda livery number 6 still has only 0.3 of a second over the number 1. Flying down the backstretch into Hans Ernst once again. They put already about 1.1 seconds over Tixier back there in 4th. And so they are starting to pull away from the rest of the field, even with a little bit of battling.
Yeah, but the battling is going to give a chance to Tixier and Gronkowski to catch up. If we see another side-by-side through Tarzan, I think that it's going to slow them down enough for Tixier to latch back on. He's not that far behind. He's kind of like just on the very edge of the draft range. Well,
just a little too far back, and Jordan Gronkowski with the fastest lap of the race, a 38.2. In fact, that's significantly faster than our leaders are running right now. That is interesting. And looking a little farther behind. Oh, wait, we can't go farther behind because look at this. Jim is just climbing over the gearbox of the number 6. Unfortunately for him, there's not really much of a place to pass here into Shevlock, and he backs out of it slightly.
Yeah, and Hisada looks a little bit at corner entry better, that is. Whereas Shedlick, he looks like he's better at corner exits. So I think it's going to be hard for Jim to repass and take the lead here. And he's got to be careful because he's got Dorado right behind him, and he's not falling off at all. I'm not sure if he's just waiting. I kind of don't think that he is, but he's definitely in play for this race win. And you see there, Shedlick with much better drive off.
Yeah, that one, I think Hisada just went straight up too wide coming through the corner, and he's going to use that deep braking here in Hans Ernst to keep himself safe, at least for now. Can he find the grip coming off of it? Shedlick's still right there, and yes, he does. Now Hissada really needs to get on the power as soon as possible, coming off of Leyendyke, this long right-hander right here.
Yeah, and I actually really like Jim's approach in the background there. You saw him taking all of the curve just to kind of widen out the corner as much as possible.
Didn't give him enough. He's just not near enough to try and have a go on that one. They are still pulling away. It's up to 1.5 over Tixier behind them, but a three-way fight that just will not abate. And coming in to Gerlach and Hugenholtz, look at him just glancing those curbs and the car jostling around, just as it would have done back in 67.
Yeah, this top three, I don't think that we're going to see them separate for the entire race here.
Certainly doesn't seem like it. Someone's going to have to make a mistake. This is going to be who blinks first, I got to think, between these three, and definitely some impressive talent here in amongst this group. Hissada, the current reigning champion. Shedlick, the current points leader. Rafael Dorado, multiple-time winner in this series. Used to absolutely dominate out here up against the likes of guys like Mick Claridge. And as they fly through the double hairpins and onto the backstretch once again, Dorado can't quite keep up that time, losing a car length or two as Shedlick is within 2/10. But 2/10 is not going to be enough.
Yeah, it's just too far back to really have an opportunity there into Hans Ernst. But if he can get good drive out of the final corner, then that's really when he's going to have the opportunity to make the pass. And if you look, they're really not pulling too much on Tixier and Gronkowski. Gronkowski's still hovering just about 3 seconds off the lead there in fifth.
Well, we saw that he claimed the fastest lap. In fact, he still holds that fastest lap as well. So watching from Shedlick, yeah, this isn't going to be near enough. But looking pretty good under braking, though. And now Shedlick takes the fastest lap away. And how much by is the question? Just by about 200ths, it looks like, over Gronkowski. Granted, he's got a car in front of him, so it's going to be harder for him to try and make that work. Ooh, and Laust Olsen and Richard Yalen are in a side-by-side battle right now, coming into Gerlach. And I think, Yalen is going to take it, but just barely. Didn't see it on screen. Now, there they are. Olsen had to back out. The two of them almost coming together. This one's worth a replay.
Yeah, Olsen's had a couple of attempts now down into Tarzan, and it's kind of been the same thing both times. He gets alongside and he's got the inside, but he just doesn't get enough drive off to complete the pass. And Yalen has made a great start, really. He's up from 15th into 10th, so just hanging on to that top 10.
Yeah, here's where it starts, coming out of Leyendyke. Kumo and Leyendyke leading onto the front stretch. Just gets that good launch. And I think he's going to be able to get to the inside here. Is Yalen going to cover him off? Nope, he's going to leave the door open. Feels confident enough. Laust looking mighty on the brakes. And, man, he was almost fully ahead for a brief moment. But Yalen, like you said, using that banking to fantastic effect.
Yeah, Tarzan is kind of really a great racing corner because there is line opportunities to pass or defend in either the top or the bottom of the track. So, it's really not over until you're completely clear at corner exit. And as Laust is showing, it's not a trivial thing to do that.
Indeed. Well, our leaders got close again, but did not swap positions as we come back live watching from Laust, who's way farther behind this time. Let's take a glance at his onboard cam. Not much pucker factor this morning, though, from him. And he seems to be at least relatively calm despite some exciting moments a bit ago. Somebody kicking up some dust in front of them. I think that was Nieva and Yalen that just clipped a little bit of it. And in fact, Yalen's gone from defense to maybe attack as Jorge has been closed upon by that 16 car.
Yeah, Nieves dropped back 2 spots from where he started, and now he's looking a little bit under threat. But once again, this looks like it could be another really good points day for him. His main contender, Matthew Maudsley, actually, I'm not sure if he got a penalty. I saw him coming to pit road early in the race, but he's way back in 24th.
Ooh, and we had an issue with Matt Wright going off at Sheavlock. Now, the nice thing is about this track, and this existed back in 67 too, they're just a gigantic hill to the outside that they've now covered in gravel on top of it, so you'd have to be hard-pressed to actually find your way out to the wall, which he did not. One more look at the replay to see exactly what caused this. The Club Australia New Zealand, well, looks like a little bit of grass, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's ended up with too much entry speed and a little bit of a rallycross moment for him there. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep it straight and just carry it through the corner, so lost a couple of spots.
Unfortunately, not in Amsterdam, so grass not a good thing out here as we continue to watch him get the car back on track and going. As we come back live once again, we're looking at Yolland, who is now almost sandwiched. He caught up to Nieva, but so did Laust Olsen, and Ben Zoko's with them.
Yeah, Ben's kind of just sort of riding at the back of this line right now.
Yeah, we could see another situation where it's whoever makes the mistake first in and amongst this group down and into Sheevlock. John Olsen, the other Olsen, no relation, is not that far in front of them. If they'll catch up to that other yellow car. So we look back at the 9 and check out his webcam once more. Oh, Miro Haraski had some sort of issue. Don't need to go to it. I'm checking it out on my screen. He had a bit of a spin coming through Sheevlock as well, but he gets the car back and rolling, looking to see if he can get enough of an exit. He's close, and he thinks about it. In fact, just about gets into the back of him. And Yolland, thankfully, does not get a whap from behind by Laust Olsen, at least for now.
Yeah, a little bit of target fixation, it looked like, right there by Laust. He kind of just drove all the way, but now he's under threat. He's just made a mistake in Kumo, and now Ben Zoko is going to have a run down into Tarzan.
Okay, can Zoko do something with it? We asked who's going to make the mistake, and it was Laust that wound up having that happen. He's a long ways back, but he's going to show his nose at the least. Can't shake him off the line, chopping down to the apex. Olsen doesn't blink.
Yeah, I think that would have been just a little bit too far back. And I'm actually surprised that Ben didn't get a better run there, because Laust really checked himself up, and now he's gone wide. He's opened the door. Ben's through this time.
Yeah, just not a perfect day here for Laust Olsen. So there goes Zoko up into 11th spot, trying to see if now he can crack his way into the top 10. And we're just about halfway through this race, so the laps are definitely clicking off. Oh, and Plumley is off the track. This is out of Hugenholtz. I think this is a single car incident.
Yeah, just spun it on his own right there.
Slow corners, trying to get the power down. Not much weight under the car, so in those low gears, it likes to go. So as we watch from on board, let's listen. A little too much on it. Goosed it, around she goes. Meanwhile, we got to get back to the lead, because Shedlick is within 0.2 of a second of Hisada, and they're coming around Lyondike. Now, I've seen this before, though. He's been within these 0.2. You talked about how Togo was better on the entry. I think he's been paying attention to Jim. He's changed it up and has since been untouchable out of that last corner.
Yeah, and I'm actually a little surprised that Jim didn't have a chance this time, but he's actually better out of Tarzan. A pass here? Really? There's nowhere to go.
I've seen it done, but it's usually catastrophic, and thankfully does not attempt it. Dorado still hovering behind them as well, and I'm not sure if they're losing pace or what, because Tixier is getting closer back there as well. I don't think that they've been battling that we've missed here on screen.
Oh, Hisada wide.
Hisada, can he make the corner? Somehow he does! How did he get back on there? I cannot believe that. That is usually a death sentence. You're off into the gravel if you're 4 wheels off coming out of Slotemacher. I've never seen someone come back and make the corner like nothing happened.
It wasn't even a bad line either. He somehow managed to make this work.
Wow. Just wow. But he made it stick. Don't think he's going to try that line again, as much as it seemed to work out in the end. And they stay in order. Hisada, Shedlick, and Dorado your top three currently that we're watching here in round 5 of the Grand Prix Legends Series, and even closer for Shedlick. This is a great opportunity, Christian.
Yeah, but I think he's actually been checked up a little bit, and I think Dorado's going to be the one that's really got the opportunity down into Tarzan. He's gaining on both of them here. Shedlick's got to either go defensive or go for the pass.
And, oh, it's Dorado. It's Dorado that's going to get it instead of Shedlick. Shedlick gives him space, but he also gets the launch, and Dorado won't have it this time.
And once again, Tarzan with the outside line proving to be very good for the defensive play. And I think what saved Togo on that last lap was there was a little bit of an access road out there once he'd gone onto the grass. And if you watched his left side wheels, they kind of just tracked all the way down the access road. I think if he'd have been maybe a half car wider, that would have been it for him.
Ooh, but look at how close Shedlick is here, coming towards Masters. Could he try a sneak attack now into the double hairpins? So they break for the first one. Doesn't show his nose that time. And coming down into the second one. Yep, there it is. I was going to say, he's mighty close. Hisada sees it coming. Is he going to try and cut back? He's going to use the wider exit to actually get a good launch and take the inside. Coming down into Hans Ernst. Could he fight back? He doesn't have the nose ahead of him. There goes Jim Shedlick, who goes a little wide, banking now the other way. Hisada fights back, and coming down into Kumho, Hisada somehow is back into the lead.
Yeah, but now everybody in the top 5 is in contention. Tixier is on the back of Dorado, and Gronkowski has recovered from that 9th place start. He is going to get a chance to win this race.
Unbelievable. Gronkowski is 1.2 seconds back from the top spot. Now, he's not quite on top of Tixier here. Shedlick is on top of Hisada, and he wants it. Hisada's going to give him room. I almost think that middle line actually helped him, because there was no way that Shedlick could get underneath.
Yeah, and I think that's now the problem with this top 5 group, is that if you don't complete the pass on the guy ahead of you, then you're immediately vulnerable to everybody behind you. So for someone like Shedlick, he's got to be very, very careful to you know, if he makes a move on Hisada, he's got to get it done, because if he doesn't, he's probably going all the way back to at least maybe 4th place.
Yeah, and right now, 1st to 5th is 1.2 seconds apart. That's how tight this is. Wow, it may be hard to pass here, but this has given us a thriller as we fly down to the double hairpins once again. This is where it erupted last time. Are we going to see Hisada cover him off? No, he's going to leave the door open. Shedlick wants to try again, but this one not as successful. This time he tracks out, though, and he's going to try to take the other side. Thinks if the left-hand side doesn't work, let's go right. Nope, he's not near enough.
Yeah, and Hisada a little bit deep there on the entry to Hans Ernst, but hasn't really cost him anything.
Still none of those behind them able to capitalize on this back and forth that we're seeing with the top 2 onto the front stretch. They pull away just a little bit. It's starting to separate slightly, not drastically though. And on board with Shedlick, he does not get a good exit. Dorado did. Dorado's aggressive. He could try something. No, it's Shedlick who's going to send it deep under braking just to keep him from getting the chance. And still somehow that car is set up beautifully for corner exits, even when he's hot into the corner.
Yeah, and it looked like he was kind of using the middle of the track there a little bit. Just driving in maybe a shade too deep, just so that he wasn't under threat from Dorado, but using the banking to, you know, maintain the position without just sliding straight up and off the racetrack.
Oh no, after such a good race, Yolland finds himself falling down to 17th. He had a spin through Tarzan, and it was a good avoidance actually by Ben Zoko in this instance. There's Ben in the blue car, sees it happening, and just finds enough track to the outside without getting hit.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for Yolland. He was actually our biggest mover, but unfortunately now I think he's gone the opposite direction in that ranking.
Yeah, Yolland is down 4 from where he started. Yeah, that means our biggest mover right now is a tie between Lamb and Gronkowski, of course, as we come back to that top 5 group. Are they going to get more friends in here? Sanchez and Hovdal those are the next two. A 7-car fight for the lead at a track that is not a draft track. I don't think I've ever seen this.
Yeah, well, that's actually what I was thinking, because you know at tracks like Monza and so on, we've seen where they are draft races, but here I just think it's pace. You know, we've seen the gaps close up between everybody in this group, and it's not looked like it's come from just, oh, I'm connected in the draft. They've really driven themselves back up there, and the lap time differential between everybody now in the race is a little bit wide in qualifying, but in the race, it's just extremely close.
Yeah, it seems like everybody has got it set up quite well today to try and handle around this track. Of course, this community is very open about setups, and they might all be running the same thing out there, at least very close as we look at the time from Sanchez versus Asada. Sanchez, first one off of this top 5 group, and at times faster, at times slower. He was catching up for a number of laps, and then suddenly it seems to have cut back, so not sure what the difference is on those last two that changed it, and poor Richard Yolland has had to come into the pits. He must have had another incident that we weren't looking at. Look at this, though. This is Laust Olsen on Nieva, and coming down into the double hairpin. We're not on replay. This is live that we've got, and Olsen, man, poor exit. As soon as we come to his onboard, he starts to drop away and even looks in his mirror, so he must have slipped up the tires a little bit coming off of that hairpin.
Yeah, but he does have a pretty nice gap, actually, about 5 seconds back to Kerrinden now, so looking like another top 10 here for Laust Olsen.
Yeah, not a bad day at all for that number 9 machine. As he comes onto the front stretch, I can report that we didn't get a pass for the top drivers, although it got mighty close, and you can see just how close as we hop over the left shoulder of Raphael. And you talked about not trying to pass there into Gerlach. Well, he thought about it once again.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody making a pass into Gerlach. I think there's no way that you can reasonably expect 2 cars too wide to get through there, especially in the 49. It's difficult even in modern touring cars to make that happen. I just don't see, and I don't see any of the drivers in this group taking a risk like that. You know, that they're all exceptionally good, and they know what they can and can't do with the 49. And I don't think that they would make a move like that.
Still trying to make him think about it, and this time cutting back with a wide entry and diamonding it off. Shedlick is right there, but we've seen him be much closer and still not be able to make it stick down through Hans Ernst behind him. Oh, that looked like that cost Dorado, as he thought he was going to hit the rear of the number 1 machine. Went a little bit wide because of it, and now we come around to the front stretch once again. Laps are cutting down. It's going to be 5 to go this time by.
Yeah, and Dorado now a little bit disconnected. I think this is Shedlick's opportunity, but he makes a mistake on the exit, and it's checked him up. He's not going to be under threat from Dorado, but lost the opportunity to attack Asada there.
And behind them, Gronkowski got a run on Tixier. He's going to go the long way around, maybe. He thinks he can. No, it looks like Tixier is going to deny him 4 now and stays in 4th. But Gronkowski getting a little bit antsy. He's tired of sitting at the back.
Yeah, and I think he saw an opportunity there with Dorado's slight mistake that, checked up Tixier as well. Asada has made an error there. He's going to lose the lead, perhaps.
I think he will this time fully by, unless there's an absolute dive bomb by the Japanese driver. And no, he is going to stay in 2nd, and he gets close, but I didn't think that was on at all. So Shedlick is back up to the top spot after it's been many laps since you've seen it. Let's take another look at the replay.
Yeah, and I think he just gets a little bit wide out of Hugenholz, and that really just checks up his run.
Let's see here as they come off the corner. Yeah, you could see it get sideways, and putting 2 wheels in the dirt doesn't help either, unfortunately. So as soon as that happened, momentum interrupted, and that opened the opportunity that Shedlick has been trying to make happen for many, many laps.
Yeah, and whilst we were looking at that replay, there has been a change for third. Tixier has passed Dorado. Hisada not giving up on the lead, though. It looks like he's going to have an opportunity to make a repass on Shedlick.
As they come out of the final corner once again, Hisada has the slipstream. He's going to look to the inside. Jim doesn't cover. He likes that outside line. He seems to think that he can make it stick, and so far, so good. Yes, he does.
Yeah, just able to power down at corner exit.
So Dorado couldn't do anything. Can Tixier maybe, now that he has got that track position? And especially seeing them battle more and more, that's going to open yet more opportunities for the Club Asia driver. And Gronkowski still has not been able to make an overtake. He's still behind Dorado. So Jordan might finally break that second place streak. Oh, in fact, he goes a little wide at the back of him and almost sends it all the way into the gravel.
Yeah, and Hisada there looking for an opportunity to Masters. I thought he was going to maybe shoot for the inside. Didn't go for it in the end. And whilst we've got relative calm, has Tixier won a race in the 49 yet?
No,
I feel like
he has not.
He's still victoryless in the broadcast split. I mean, what a race to win if he was to pick up his first in this race, though.
Oh, look behind them, side by side between Sanchez and Hovdal. Coming down into Hans Ernst. Hovdal's got the inside. He's got the nose ahead, but not anymore. Sending it in deep. Sanchez is going to say, no, you don't, and retain sixth place, and they make a little bit of contact.
Yeah, a really, really nice defense there.
Oh,
Sada looking to attack in the final corner. Lundijk? Really?
Oh. Whoa. And if he hadn't, he may have had a better chance here, but he is going to get the slipstream. There's the move to the inside. Doesn't like it this time. Jim is going to try and defend and round the outside. Has he learned anything from his rival? No, he spins up the tires.
Tixier looking, though, to take advantage. Not able to do it. Nearly contact behind with Tixier and Dorado.
And unfortunately, as Zoko goes a little high through Hugenholtz, thankfully holds onto it this time. Unfortunately, we're seeing the downside to racing this close, Christian. It's an absolute chain reaction down the order.
Yeah, exactly. And with everybody just being so tightly packed, that's what's really actually created the opportunity for drivers like Tixier to go forwards. It was a check-up in the top two that slowed Dorado enough for Tixier to sneak by and take that third spot. But I thought it was interesting on that last lap into Tarzan where Jim went to the inside. We've seen him just always take the outside and always use the drive off. And Hisada looked like he was going to try and take advantage of that, but he just wasn't able to put the power down in the same way that Shedlick was. And that's why he kind of checked up and didn't get that boost from using the outside lane that we've seen.
Don't need to go to it, but Hovdal was trying to attack on Sanchez with a little wide, spun the car. He falls to ninth, so that battle is over between those two, but not between these top five. And a little farther away for the number 6. Let's see if he tries to get closer with a better exit. Just can't. Man, Shedlick is a monster on the throttle today. Behind them, though, Tixier might have to give that up to Dorado because he's right on top of him. He's going to take a little bit of a look, but an early turn in from Sebastian, and that's a little too early as he goes wide. They almost interlock wheels. Thankfully, both come out the other side.
Yeah, we definitely had wheels overlap for a moment there, and it kind of looks like what we've sort of seen all races continuing on at the front here. Shedlick better at corner exit, Hisada better at corner entry.
2 to go now for the drivers. The opportunities are waning. Is anybody going to do something desperate and cause a problem? Let's hope not. It's been such fantastic and respectful fighting up till now. Everybody's given space when they need to. And yet, they've also been extremely aggressive as well. And we're seeing some distance between P2 and P3.
Yeah, I think that last lap was, on balance, one of the faster ones we've seen at the front of the field for a while now. And that spread them out just a little bit.
It's not the only battle up at the front. We haven't been able to catch some of the other fun. We've got a battle for 14th. This is Jacob ahead of Rasky, Wright, and Plumley.
Plumley making a recovery from that initial spin that he had.
Yeah, glad to see him be able to try and come back at it. Can't give up. And he's back into, looks like 17th. He's actually still up 3 positions from where he began, and certainly still struggling with some of these slower corners, it appears. And white flag is out for our leaders. It's 0.3 apart. Hisada's not quite close enough this time. Behind them, no change between Tixier, Dorado, or Gronkowski as well. And they're through Tarzan. So from here, the opportunities are going to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I don't really see any other place than Hans Ernst as an opportunity for Hisada to make a pass.
Well, remember into the double hairpins, we saw Shedlick try and get a little creative. I wonder if Togo has that in the back of his mind, wondering maybe I could pay him back.
Possibly. We have seen him be very strong on corner entry. If there's the opportunity to get to the inside, I think he's going to try.
He's a little too far back from what I can see right now. And as they come down into it, yeah, he's going to have to be much, much closer than here. I don't think this is going to be wise if he does attempt it. As the clouds come over here in this last lap, yeah, that is unfortunately just about the nail in the coffin, because even coming out down into Hans Ernst, the two of them have spread a little far away. Well, it's sad to see it came down to this because, well, and Hisada, maybe he just gave it one more go, taking it very deep there into the chicane. As close as they fought all race long, it all just fell apart in the final lap and nobody able to do anything in and amongst them. But you gotta give credit to Shedlick. My goodness, he is now on a run of 4 wins on the season. Jim Shedlick takes victory here at the Netherlands, and Hisada spins it across the line. Still somehow finishes in second. That was tight. So John Olsen finishes 7th, Laust Olsen in 9th, and as the 5 is just going to have a little bit of fun there at the end of the race. But man, that was an amazing race between those leaders, because it wasn't just stuck in line the whole time, Christian. That was proper fighting.
Yeah, absolutely, and we had both Hisada and Shedlick in the lead there, and I really felt like everybody who was in that top 5 group had a shot at that at the end, but it just, once Shedlick got back to the point, he just spread everybody out just enough that kind of sort of fizzled out the battle that we had there.
That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Zandvoort. Well, we came into this expecting it to be a little single file, and yes, it was single file, but it wasn't a lack of exciting racing, as the top 5 all vied for the victory for almost the whole race, and Jim Shedlick, who did lose the lead for much of this race, fought his way back to the front over Hisada, who spun across the line for that second place and could not convert his pole into another of his wins, as Sebastian Tixier got himself another podium. Still waiting for that first win, but this certainly was a good opportunity for him. Rafael Dorado was 4th, and Jordan Gronkowski finally breaks his streak of second places. He finishes 5th today ahead of Xavier Sanchez, and John Olsen was 7th. Jorge Nieva, a lot of points there in that F2 championship, taking 8th place as Laust Olsen was 9th, and Matthias Hovdahl falling backwards, sadly, with his late spin into 10th.
Gary Quellen comes home in 11th, just half a second ahead of Antti Kärönen with Ben Zoko. We saw him fighting it up a little bit higher than this. Unfortunately, he finishes back in 13th. Jacob Desmarais back there in 14th with Will Rasky. Will Lamb coming home in 16th. Yuri Geisen in 17th. Michael Grissinger 18th. Cam Porter and Matthew Maudsley, the F2 driver that we saw pit early in the race, he raced a qualifying setup. So a nice recovery by him to, take an additional pit stop and come home in 20th.
21st for Herbert Prins, last one on the lead lap. Matt Wright was a DNF along with Plumley, Yolland, and Salgado in the end. Not seeing that checkered flag, but we do have Jim Shedlick with us here as he took the victory with some hard work on top of it. Jim, we were saying this might have been your best victory so far this season with you having to fight so hard. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, no question. I appreciate it. It was an incredibly hard race. A lot of great drivers were out today, and I feel like the whole top 5 had pretty similar pace, and it was just an absolute brawl.
It was. And talk about that, because you weren't just having to be on the attack, but the defense. You had Dorado for the first part of the race, and then Tixier later trying to make you sweat. How much were you watching the mirrors?
Yeah, definitely trying to be careful, especially getting into braking zones, knowing it's pretty easy to get run over. But try to focus on hitting my marks as much as I could. It's such a hard track. Any small mistake, just a wheel off and you're gone. So just really mostly try to focus on my line. But yeah, it was hard to not make mistakes. All of us made small mistakes here and there over the course of the race.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. You said one wheel over the line. Well, how about 4 of them when Hisada went all completely off coming into Sheavelock and then somehow made the corner? What were your eyes doing when that happened?
I couldn't believe it. I thought he was gone for sure. I was just trying to figure out where I could go to not run into him, and somehow he was back on the track. I couldn't believe it. It was a pretty incredible save.
Well, you still prevailed in the end. Congratulations. Anybody you want to give a shout out to before you head out?
Yeah, just a shout out to any family and friends who are watching today.
All right, that was our winner, Jim Shedlick, and I believe Christian has caught up with Laust Olsen, who finished in 9th today with a lot of action out there as well.
Last, it looked like it was a pretty tight fight for the back end of the top 10 the entire time, really, with yourself, Nieva. Hovdahl ended up back there at the end, and Ben Zoko as well. So probably the hardest fought top 10, I think you would say, maybe, that we've seen so far this season. It was the strongest race that we've seen in a very, very long time in the 49. Can you kind of talk us through it a little bit?
Yeah, it was a tough race, very demanding, but very fun. Right now, I feel like the sweaty man meme in the general channel of the GSRC Discord. But it was some very good fights. I had a few attempts on Richard. Couldn't quite get it done, but great respect and some good fighting. But it's a tough track to pass on. So, and then I did a few mistakes also along the way, losing spots to Ben a couple of times. And but all in all, a very good and very fun race. Sorry.
Yeah, we saw quite a few side-by-side moments down into Tarzan and yourself and Yelland, I believe at least twice through there. And this is something we saw even at the very front of the field. It was kind of drivers were sometimes better on the outside, sometimes better on the inside, and was there kind of any sort of decision making as to whether you would try an outside pass, or was it always just you trying to get drive off on the inside and just hope that they weren't able to power down on the outside?
It looked like I had a better exit onto the straight than Richard, so I could get a run on him. The last couple of laps behind Jorge or Jorge, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. He really was as fast or faster as me out on the straight, so I couldn't really get in a position to try to pass him. So it's also depending how good you exit the last corner, definitely.
Well, next week we're going to Knock Hill, and that's there's a lot of up and down and elevation change at Zandvoort, but Knock Hill kind of takes it a little bit to the extreme, I would say. You got any thoughts on that track?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I never raced there before, but seen some races in the TV, real life races. Looks very fun, very challenging, so I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff, and we wish you all the best for next week. And before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Thanks to you guys for the great broadcasts, and thanks to the 49 community. Some great racing, great guys, and yes, thanks to John Olsen for sharing setups. They're usually quite good, so I think that's it.
Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us, and congratulations again on the top 10.
Thanks. See you.
And that takes us to 13th place finisher now, Ben Zoko as well. And Ben, it's been a little bit a long time no see, but sounds like it wasn't a perfect return. You'll be happy to know we didn't get to see the incident between yourself and Yolland coming into the double hairpins. It sounds like you were apologizing for that. Do you feel like that one was more your doing, or what's your take on it?
Yeah, definitely my fault. So this will be the first thing to do here in the interview is say sorry to Richard, because we were having a good battle up to then, and I thought that I could brake at the usual sort of marker and hold the inside, but clearly we were all on the limit of braking into that corner, so I just understeered into him. So it was a silly move. I shouldn't have attempted it. So apologies again to Richard about that one. My fault, 100%.
Well, even still, in spite of that, you managed to finish mid-pack in what was top split. Talk about that, because you're one of the guys that has been around in this series for years at this point. Were you a bit surprised to see it split today?
Yeah, I was actually planning. This is the first race back for me because the time zone's changed, so I can make the races now in the winter time. So I had very little practice, only 15 minutes to warm up. Thanks to John for the setups, as always. They just suit me perfectly, so it makes it getting into the groove of things really easy. So obviously a lot of experience at this track, but not with the newer car. But it just fit like a glove straight away. So I was pushing even in my 15 minutes of practice at the start. I loaded the Zolder setup for qualifying, so I think I could have qualified a bit better, and that meant that I had a little bit more, I think, race pace than some of the guys ahead. I was very cautious on the start, didn't want to outbrake myself into any corners, and that let a couple of dudes past, but it created a really fun and exciting race because I was able to stick with those guys. And yeah, it was really difficult to pass because I think it was at Laos, he was really quick out of the final corner, so thankfully he made a couple little errors that let me go by. And then yeah, I was maybe a little bit quicker than Richard, but I didn't pick my moment. He made some mistakes and I got alongside, but that move was never on. So yeah, not the best return, but it was really good to see it split. I think maybe because it's Easter and it's the classic pairing of the 49 where it debuted at Zandvoort all those years ago in 67, whatever. So that might have an effect on more people coming in to just do this pairing. Either way, I was kind of hoping that it wasn't going to split, and then I was going to maybe just start from the back and just have a bit of a fun race through the pack. There'd be so many lap cars and stuff like that. It was going to be what someone described in the pre-race chat as a circus, but it would have been crazy. But no, it ended up being a really fun race anyway.
It absolutely did. We enjoyed this one a lot. Will we see you back at Knock Hill? Because talking about experience, that one's very fresh.
Yep, I haven't even turned any laps there yet, so I'll be learning the track next week and trying to make the broadcast race again for sure.
Well, we'll look out for you. Thanks for coming back and chatting with us, Ben. Anybody you want to shout out before you take off?
Yeah, sorry again, Richard, and thanks, John, for the setups.
So that was Ben Zoko, who took a 13th place, and then a little bit behind him, 19th was Cam Porter, one of our onboards today. Christian's going to talk to him.
There was a little bit of a moment in the middle of the race where you kind of went for a little bit of a rallycross at Shivlak, but after that, it looked like you had a pretty amazing battle, really, with Michael Grissinger for the remaining part of the race, and just came a little bit unstuck on the final lap there into Tarzan.
Yeah, that was a really fun race with Michael. I was ahead of him, and as he said, I had a little bit of an off-track excursion there, and that cost me the position, but I was able to get my head down and catch back up to him, and I feel like I was crawling all over the back of his car for 10 or 15 laps there near the end, and then Yuri was pressuring me at on the last lap, and I was trying to go as deep as I could into turn one, and obviously you saw what happened there. Yeah, but that was a really fun race, and happy just to bring the car home in one piece.
Yeah, absolutely, and you picked up the 19th spot, but this is one of probably the strongest Lotus 49 race I've ever personally seen. It's very rare that we see it go to a split. You know, we had all but 4 cars were on the lead lap by the flag, and do you feel like that this was kind of probably the same for yourself, one of if not the strongest 49 race that you've ever been in terms of the field?
Well, I'm a relative newcomer to this series, but yeah, 3200 strike the field is well above my my pay grade. Yeah, I was surprised it split actually, because I thought there was only 49 drivers registered, and I think the maximum amount is 50. So I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, really tough room today.
Yeah, absolutely. And next time out, we go to Knock Hill, which is, kind of again a pretty tough track. You got any thoughts on that one?
Oh, that'll be tough for sure. I've done some laps at Knock Hill in other series. It'll be difficult, but I hope to just maybe race my own race and keep the car clean and on track. We'll see how things play out.
I think that, but for the most part, say for the 2 small moments today, I think that worked out really well for you. So we wish you the best for Knock Hill next week. And before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to the Lotus 49 community, because I feel like this is where the gentlemen go to race. I feel like the quality of the driving in this series is really top notch. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming and chatting with us, and thank you for carrying the onboard camera for us, and good luck next time out at Knock Hill, and once again, congratulations on the top 20 here today.
Thanks, guys.
That was Cam Porter, and that's going to close us out for the show. Before we go, we want to give a thank you as well to the Global Sim Racing, or the Grand Prix Legends community, and also to the Majors Garage, who sponsor the channel. Make sure and click our link in the description below and use our promo code MajorsGSRC to get 10% off. Also, big thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, Christian, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storeenvy.com, and we keep a link in the description below for that. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And as we mentioned, the next race will be at Knock Hill. That'll be Saturday, April 23rd at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, a week from now. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. And up next today, the Camel GT series goes to Laguna Seca, another classic. That'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.